So this taking time to understand what makes you tick as a person is absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
Because when you begin to make some decisions, you know, oh wow, I'm like this, that's why I'm making that decision.
Yeah.
I'm an emotional person, I'm a logical person, I'm a this kind of person. So that informs how you act. Okay. If you don't have a good knowledge of who you are as a person, and you jump straight into entrepreneurship and things happen, you don't know yourself well, and that creates problems. So knowing yourself as a person is absolutely crucial. Okay, and this plays out in life. Okay, I talked about the honeymoon earlier. When you get married, why do you go on a honeymoon? You go on a honeymoon because you and your wife need to spend time to know each other.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Your Successful Self. Today we're talking about everything entrepreneurship, and the man who is going to help us with the conversation is Stephen Adjei, the co-founder of Strategic Boutique, an SME consultancy firm that helps small businesses strategize and take their businesses to the next level. And he's also the writer of the book on your screen. He's our guest today, and I want to welcome him straight into the conversation. Hello, Stephen. Welcome to Your Successful Self.
Hello, Emmanuel. I'm really privileged to be here. Thank you so much.
I mean, you have no idea how much we are happy to have you, because I know only God knows when, we've been trying to lay hands on you for you to appear on our platform, and it hasn't happened because of your shadows and the work that you do. But finally, God being so good, you are here with us, and I'm so much thankful for that. Now, our platform is all about sourcing success stories, to help our audience while they embark on their journeys to success, So whenever I'm beginning every interview, I begin from the background of the guest so that the audience will know who he is, where he's coming from, the things that he's been through to be the person that he is today. So I want you to begin the interview with us, from your background, where you were born, the things that you've been through, and, because of that reason, you are the person that you are today.
Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. So very briefly, I was born in London, not far from me actually. But I went back to Ghana, where obviously you're from as well, with my parents when I was 5 years old. I had all my education in Ghana. I went to one of the best schools in the country, thankfully. So I got my degree in pharmacy. I didn't practice much. I only practiced for a few months. And then I came back to the UK. So when I came back to the UK, I lived in London for a while. But then I got pulled to Plymouth, which is a little small city, 4 hours away from here, which is why we haven't been able to meet, because it's so far away from here. But I've lived there ever since. I practiced pharmacy there. That's where I founded my company. So that's briefly more, unless you want to know more, a bit more.
Now, someone may ask, as I have introduced you, you are very big when it comes to entrepreneurship. First of all, I am a big believer that whatever that we are doing as far as our lives are concerned, we don't just stand up to do it. It's because of what we see about ourselves, about the world, probably a need or a problem at the marketplace that we feel like someone needs to solve this problem. And probably we don't see anybody solving it, and we rise up to the occasion, or we rise up to the task and say, okay, if nobody is doing it, I'm going to rise up and do it myself. So in your own case of being an entrepreneur and being on the journey that you are on today, not only being a business owner, but also consulting for SMEs and small businesses, strategize and take their businesses to the next level. Begin with us. How did the whole thing, come about? Like, how did your journey begin?
Yeah, so I've always felt inside of me that I had to be an entrepreneur. So very early on, I launched my first company. Actually, didn't know how to. I had no idea. So I thought the best thing to do is go to business school. So I went to Warwick Business School, which is one of the best in the country. Came out and started my company. But it took a lot longer than I thought. I went through multiple challenges, which I'm sure we'll discuss later. So after all that, I began, I'd read lots of books. We've been going to business school. I read lots and lots of books on entrepreneurship, self-help, how to start your business and all that stuff. But I found that one thing was missing, and that was the issue of pain and failure and struggle. Okay, so most books just mention it in passing, but my experience was not like that. My experience was a lot of pain, a lot of struggle, a lot of failures, a lot of issues that I went through. And then when I began to speak to other entrepreneurs, I realized that a lot of them were going through the same problems as well. And also I began to look at statistics. So 70% of entrepreneurs fail within the first 3 years. And then another 90% fail within the first 5 years. So that occurred to me, this is a big need, a big struggle that has not been mentioned in the media. People like to talk about their success, and every book you read about is either Airbnb and Steve Jobs with Apple and Virgin and all these guys. But people don't talk about the little guys that are failing and are struggling. And so I decided that, okay, right, if nobody's going to take on that thing, I'm going to go for it and I'm going to do it. So that is where my specialty has become now.
Yeah, and it's where your journey began.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, talking about, the things that you've spoken about, especially with entrepreneurship, as in most people, when they are talking about the subject, they talk about the good aspects of it. Without the other aspects of it, and not let others who want to venture into that space know that this is the reality of it, in its entirety. And so if I'm trying to venture into it, these are the stuff that I must be aware of, as far as my journey is concerned. And because of that, you decided you are going to fill in that need. First of all, researching you, I came across something that when you began your entrepreneurship journey, it didn't went steadily for you right away. You went through some obstacles and other stuff. Can you speak to us about some of these things that you went through?
Yeah, so
and how the experience has shaped
me. Okay, so I got deceived basically by life. Basically, that's how I like to put it.
If you say life, what do you mean?
So my first 3 years was lovely. Everything was rosy. The stars were shining in the sky. Every morning was good because we started Blue Cloud, and then we had contracts. So we traveled around Africa. We went to Ghana, we went to Botswana, we went to Kenya, South Africa, Dubai, and a lot of things were happening. Every door seemed to be opening, So we were able to do a lot of good work. And then came Angola. And then we made some mistakes, and we went bust. We lost a lot of money in the process. We also did some work in the Francophone Africa, Togo, Benin. We registered some medicines because, in the Francophone countries, their pharmaceutical supply is not that good. So we decided to register some medicines under the Blue Cloud brand. Yeah. We had some African partners. We got duped. We lost hundreds of thousands of pounds.
You got duped?
Yeah, we got duped in Africa really, really bad. So we lost hundreds of thousands of pounds. I went bankrupt, basically, went bust. And then I took some, in the midst of that, I got ill. I got epilepsy from all the stress. I crashed my car when I was driving. My brand new, it wasn't brand new, but it was fairly new Volkswagen Passat that I bought new. Crashed it. My sister died. I made some bad decisions regarding my sexual life. Wow. And all those they all happened in the space of 2 or 3 years. Yeah. So yeah, things went really bad, and that's why I said life deceived me, because the first 3 or 4 years I was like Steve Jobs, everything was going smoothly until the reality hits, and things went bad from there.
Yeah. Wow, this is quite a story, and the reason why I'm saying it's quite a story is that you don't look like someone who has been through all these things. No. Let's be real over here. People go through stuff and, without even talking about it, when you meet them, you can see it on them that they've gone through stuff. But in your own case, it's never like that. And so I'm wondering, with all these, how do I put it? With all these obstacles and all this pain, how come he's still out here strong, smiling as if nothing has happened to him? Could you share with us any secret behind, how do I put it? Any secrets behind your resilience? Because being such a person and going through such stuff, you don't normally come out, feeling bubbly and all jacked up, taking on life like you are doing. Is there any secret at all that you're using it because of that, you are appearing this way?
Yeah. So in period price, I talk about something called the honeymoon period. Okay. So the honeymoon period is when, and I'll give an example of my own life. So when I met my beautiful wife, we had a lovely time. So the first 2-3 years, the first year or so, we went traveling, we went to this place, we went to that place, and everything was lovely. Okay. Now they call it honeymoon because that is where you get your memories from. That's where you get your experiences from. Oh. So my honeymoon period was strong. My honeymoon period for my entrepreneurship was strong. I believed that something had to come out of my life. There was a gut feeling there, and it's like the camel, the camel. So when the camel, you probably know about camels from Africa, but they eat a lot of food, eat a lot of drink, they drink a lot, they have a huge hump. That hump is what I call the camel principle. They have a huge hump. So when they're going through struggle, it's that hump that they've eaten that takes them through the bad parts. See like me. So the honeymoon period of my life, the fact that I went to a good business school, the fact that I had a belief in my system that what I was doing would work, the fact that I knew deep down within me that I was called for something different. So even through all those struggles and all those pain, and they were painful, I'm not going to lie. I mean, they were painful. Obviously, like I said, I have developed epilepsy.
Yeah.
I still have epilepsy now. Yeah. You know, I had quite a few fits, even just 3 or 4 weeks ago, you know. So it's still there. But there's an inward kind of joy, an inward kind of peace that I have, knowing that this is my calling.
Yeah.
And that has stayed with me, even through all the bad times.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I'm not sure that answers the question.
It makes sense. And, you know, I'm kind of surprised because, yes, before coming on set with you, I've researched into you and I've gotten to know at least, quote and unquote, something about you. Yeah. But the way you are going about the story, it kind of make me feel like, oh, you didn't get to know him at all. He's been through a lot, you know, yet you don't look like it. Yeah. And that is the shocking aspect to me. Now, I want to continue with your journey. Yeah. Now, you went through all those processes, you know, you bounced back. And not only did you bounce back, you didn't quit. No. You came up, you know, with another company, which is the strategic boutique, you know, helping SMEs and, you know, helping SMEs strategizing and, you know, taking their businesses to the next level. You've written a bestseller out of it, which we are going to talk about later. Yeah. How do I put it? Like the strength, you know, to begin again. How did you master that strength to begin again?
Okay, so yeah, it's like I said to you before, is the desire, and also I had some really good friends with me. So Strategy Boutique, for instance, when I went to Warwick Business School, I met a guy called Abhinav. We are still partners after 10 years. Abhinav is a remarkable individual. I talk about him in the book. And he's been one of the guys that have stood with me all these years. Also, when we went bust, he went bust with me. We went bust together, you know. So having good people around you is really, really important. Abhinav is one of them. My wife is one of them. I had friends, really strong friends, who believed in what I was doing and who stood with me during the hard times. Even my daughter, she's now 18 now, she's in university.
Yeah.
She was 15, 14 years old by then, you know, and she still used to say, Daddy, I believe in you, my own daughter, you know.
Wow.
So those things were really, really strong for me. Obviously, you had the majority of people saying, Steve, what you're doing is not going to work, rubbish. But you had this core group of about 8 or 9 people who were standing with me and believing in what they could. Because they could see something in me that I couldn't see myself, you know. So that was really, really, really important. And also, like I said before, the fact that when I did my research and I did my project in Warwick, my professor gave me a first class, you know. So that made me think that, okay, actually what I'm doing, there's something good there, you know. Otherwise, I won't get a first class for, you know, with my projects, you know. Yeah. And also, like I said to you, the gut feeling inside me, that made me think that, no, you've got to continue. So it's a combination of factors that made me continue to what I was doing. And the fact that I had nowhere else to go. I become so broke that I had nowhere else to go. I had to just keep pressing forward. I couldn't go back. So so that's the brief story.
Wow. But you know, you and I can agree that, like you've said, you became so broke and you didn't have any option than to keep going on. Not everyone, you know, go through such an experience and in spite of the broken and they say, I'm going to keep on. It doesn't happen like that, you know. So being able to stick to your guns and you keeping on, you know, I want to appreciate you so well for that because it's real strength, you know. What I'm seeing all over you is resilience, and you know, it kind of, should I say, infects me, you know, a bit, you know. So I'm thankful for that.
I'm glad to hear that.
You started a new company, Strategic Boutique. You know, you are operating all over the globe. You are in Africa, you are in Asia, New York, and here in Europe. So far, how are things, you know, with the new company? How is it going?
Yeah, so Strategic Boutique was not actually a new company. So what happened was, when I finished Warwick in 2014, my friend Abhinav and I, we were partners. Abhinav had Strategic Boutique, I had Blue Cloud. Okay. Now, Blue Cloud, after all that happened with getting duped and all the struggles that we went through, unfortunately, I went bankrupt and the company went bust. Okay. So Abhinav and I sat down together and said, look, what do we do from here? Yeah. So we decided that, okay, we're going to get rid of Blue Cloud and just stick with Strategy Boutique. Yeah. So since then, Abhinav and I have been working together with Strategy Boutique. We've done a lot of work around the world. We're doing some work in Dubai. We're doing some work in India. Doing some work in Ghana as well. So that has been there. And I've also started a new venture in like speaking to people, going on podcasts, trying to encourage people, speaking to entrepreneurs and mentoring people and writing a lot. You know, I think I strongly believe this, that entrepreneurship is the answer to a lot of the problems we face in the world today. You know, I believe that people coming up with ideas, just like you're doing here, Emmanuel, not very many people come from your background that you have now, coming from Ghana and all the struggles, but having such a wonderful podcast. I mean, this place is just amazing. I mean, the professionalism, and I think my life's calling is to support and to encourage people like that to keep going on, So these are my two strands, the mentorship, and then helping people and writing to encourage people, and also working with SMEs with Strategy Budget and Enough. So I'll say these are the two things that really
now
spend me on.
Talking about mentoring and encouraging people, coaching and that aspect. I mean, we'll come to that together with the book, but from what you've said, I was going to later come on some of these things, but from what you said, it kind of bring me to one of the statement that I came across from reading the book, and it's allude to the fact and to the idea of what you've explained, that ethical entrepreneur has good business practices, a love for, you said the ethical entrepreneur has good business practices, a love for humanity, and a desire to see a better world deeply ingrained in her psyche. And so the reason why I'm reading this statement to you is that based from what you've explained, I guess it's the reason why no matter what is happening around you or has happened, you keep on going.
Absolutely. I do believe that entrepreneurs, sometimes because of the pressures of the job, the pressure of the work, we sometimes go. I'll give a typical example. So when I go really, really broke, somebody came to me and offered me a $10 million deal. Okay, the $10 million deal was they had lots of computer waste. Okay, they wanted to dump it somewhere. They couldn't get anywhere to dump it in, and they've heard that Ghana had the biggest dumping sites, which I probably know of in Accra. And offered me a big cut, about $100,000 for that, but because of the ethics, I had to turn it down. It was difficult turning it down because I thought $100,000 would be good for me,
Isn't that difficult? Being an ethicist.
Yes. So the ethical part of me said, no, I cannot look at. I've been to that place. I've been to the dumping ground. I see the harm that is causing the people there. So I turned it down. So it is stuff like that that's been hard for a lot of entrepreneurs. Because if you go down the ethical routes, it takes longer. But I believe that your foundations are stronger and you leave a better mark on this world. So that is why I talk about the ethical entrepreneur bit of it. So it's doubly hard. Being an entrepreneur itself is hard. When you add the ethical bit, it becomes even harder. Because a lot of people are honest. A lot of people are dodgy. A lot of people are corrupt. And you find that as an entrepreneur, if you want to stick by the game, you have to turn a lot of things down. Those things can give you easy money, but never lasts, as you probably know.
Yes. Now, the idea of being ethical, it's one of the difficult ways to live your life. I pride myself as an ethicist, and I know same as yourself. But, relating everything to myself, sometimes if I tell you the things that I go through, because I'm an ethicist, I'm all about the right thing all the time. Sometimes it's crazy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%.
100%. Something that the ordinary human being would just do or brush it off and just move on with their life. I am not able to do that. And so sometimes I look at my own situation and I go like, am I being a victim of my own decisions? It's hard being ethical.
It's very hard. It's absolutely
and this time around, bringing it into the world of business, it's crazy. And saying this, I want to acknowledge you that you are one of the people that I've come across, talk about ethical entrepreneurship. Like the whole idea of entrepreneurship, like we hear out there from the world, is more like a dog eats dog thing. Like don't care about people. Just care about the money and go your way. But here's the case: you have approached the subject in a different manner. And I'm saying you are one of the people that I've come across, approach the subject this way simply because the first person that I came across, talking about entrepreneurship, like talking about it in such a way that it should be towards, the greater good of the people instead of focusing just on the profit, was Christian Felber, and I think you know him. He's
his name,
yes, he wrote the book Change Everything. It's a business book and also on entrepreneurship. I think he's a professor at Vienna School of Economics, and his book is quite incredible, just as your book is. So talking of the idea of being ethical, I just don't know, but it's really crazy, you know, and it's not hard to go by it if you say you want to, you know, experience this life like you want to experience it. Now, away from everything, now you are into mentorship, you know, coaching people, trying to bring some sort of goodness into the business world. Someone may ask, you know, it's not easy, first of all, when you approach, you know, things that way. And so you going about doing your work in such a manner. The question is, how is it going? You know, do people find you, how do I put it? Like, do people find you as in someone being, excuse my language, a pain in the ass when it comes to their dealings? Like, oh, he always want to do things right. Why do you have to care about the people? Let's make the money and go. Do you come across some of these things, you know? Because like we've said earlier, being ethical, you know, is not easy. Than talk of, you know, taking it to the business world.
100%. I mean, a lot of people have said behind my back that I've heard, or sometimes to my face, that, oh, Steven, you're too soft. You know, you have to be a bit more hard in dealing with people. You have to be, you know, you have to be a bit dog eat dog, and that's why I think, you know, because it took me a long time to begin to see the success, which is coming from the book. And sometimes you go home and you think, like you're saying to me right now, I go through the same thing. You know, think, am I being too good here? You know, am I being too trying to be too goody? But I realized that actually that's the right way, you know, and I talk about people, someone like Strive Masiwa in the book, who is the first black billionaire in the UK.
Yeah.
And he went through the same issue, you know. It took him years and years and years, and now he's really successful now. But it took him a long time. It took him 15, 20 years to be successful. So yes, I go to that challenge all the time. By nature, I'm quite a gentle guy, quite a soft guy, gentle guy, quite sensitive. And also, I'm no saint, you know, as I've written in the book, you know. I've made a lot of bad decisions in my life, which cost me a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to make the same decision.
But that was then, you know.
Absolutely.
Not
absolutely.
now.
No,
I would say with then,
Yeah.
you didn't know better,
Exactly.
like you know now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think you need to forgive yourself.
Oh,
Or give yourself
no.
grace.
I forgive myself.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't want people to go through the same thing.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So when I see people going through that same way, it makes me want to warn them. Look,
Yes.
I did this thing, and this is what happened.
Yes.
You do understand? So yeah. Those ones have finally managed to forgive myself and let it go. But my passion is that I don't like to see people going through the same issues, the same mistakes. Because you don't have to make the mistake. You can learn from someone that's made the mistakes, and then learn from them and go forward, rather than commit yourself to making the same mistakes. So if I have anything in life that I want to share with people, is I don't commit the same mistakes that I made. You know, both in my work and in my personal life. You understand? So that's what I mean by that. And people seem to buy it. You know, like I said to you, Pray the Price went straight to number one in the US, in the UK.
Yeah.
So there was something in there that people relate to. The fact that yes, there is pain, there's vulnerability, there's mistakes, but out of all of that, you can still rise up and become something, someone good.
Yes. Now, someone will say, well, you are here not only talking about entrepreneurship, but you're talking about ethical entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And from your own words, if you look at some of the things that you've spoken about, and here is the case you want me to tread on the same journey, do you think it's worth it?
Yeah.
Because from your own words, it's not been easy for you trying to bring ethics into entrepreneurship. So with such a person, you know, thinking, you know, like that, what would you say to the person? Are you still gonna encourage them and say to them that they should still be ethical when they are approaching entrepreneurship and businesses, or you say otherwise?
I mean, there are two things to this, and it depends on how you judge success. You know, the first thing is, if you judge success by just your money you're going to make, then you're going to cut corners, because you're thinking about the money that you're going to make. And I think that's funny that human beings, we all think we are different. But if you look through history, people that have gone through the fast routes always end up in a bad way. You know, sometimes even after you're dead, you know, you know the case of one of Harrods now. You know, the guy is dead.
I came across the story this morning.
Exactly. Look at the kind of
legacy
he's left.
Even though he's not here.
He's not here, you know. So you always are going to be found out. You know, this is what people don't like. You can get away with it for so long, but eventually you get found out. The lucky thing for me is, and for most entrepreneurs is, if you are small and you make the mistakes, people don't know who you are. But these things, they grow with you. You know, it's like a weed, isn't it? With roses. When you have in your garden, if you plant a flower,
Yeah.
and you have weeds,
Yeah.
the weeds will grow with the flowers. The longer the flowers grow, the longer the weeds become. When you cut the flowers, you also cut the weeds, don't you?
Yes.
So it's the same thing with life. These bad habits, they grow with you.
Yes.
You become more and more greedy, become more and more, want more and more. And so eventually, it will ruin you.
Yes.
This is what people don't realize, And Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Elizabeth Holmes, all these guys that we like to
Yes.
to demonize. I did a lot of research on their lives. I mean, like Jeffrey Epstein, who eventually hanged himself in prison. He died from suicide. He started looking at little girls all the way back in 1976. Wow. That's when he started. I did a lot of research into his life, which I talk about in the book. Yeah. And so this thing, he didn't stop it. It grew with him. He grew, and it began to affect other areas of his life. He began to become, like I said, he wasn't ethical. He began to do things on the side, do dodgy stuff, and those things grew until eventually it finished him off. So it's two things: the difference you can make in people's lives, and also the end game. It will catch up with you, because that's how life is.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite interesting, because like you said, whatever that we do as a people, it doesn't leave us.
No.
It sticks with us.
Yes.
So whatever you are doing, it's good or bad or whatever, it's going to stick with you. So doesn't it make sense to always seek to do the right thing?
Yeah.
But here's the case, in trying to do the right thing, it's not easy. Yeah. But I guess we can't say because it's not easy, we are not going to do it. We have to stick to our guns. Yeah. And saying this in my own life, like I said earlier, sometimes if I look at certain things that, I go through, the decisions that I have to make, and I go like, I mean, who even sent me? Like, why do I have to impose such, strict, laws on myself, all in the name of being ethicist, being an ethicist, and all in the name of wanting to do the right thing all the time? It's not easy, but I appreciate your honesty and the advice that you've given to our audience, simply because you can't say because like I've said earlier, it's hard, you are not going to do it. You have to do it, because at the end of the day, whether you do it or not, the path that you are treading on, it comes along with you, and you don't want to tread a path that, when you get to the end of the destination, you look back and everything is unimaginable. You don't want to do that. And looking at the people that you've cited as examples, we know about them. Look at this man, for example, Madoff.
Yeah.
Look at his legacy. He had everything, but here's the case, So I appreciate your honesty on that. Now, I want to bring the conversation to the book. You've spoken thoroughly, with the context, that it's all about ethical entrepreneurship and all that. First of all, how do I put it? How was the writing process for you? Now, let me chip this thing in there, that the way you go about your writing is so awesome. Like, I started reading this book, and just some chapters into it, I was like, whoa.
Thank you.
Who is this writer? This is a good book, like good book, and this is one of the books that should be up there, because I've read a couple of books that are already up there, and you go through the content and you realize that this is nothing. It's just hype. But here's the case: this is a good book that needs to be put out there, but we are not seeing that, So I want to appreciate you on that, with your writing. That it's so awesome. Now, like I've said, let's take the conversation to the book. You spoke about everything about entrepreneurship in its entirety, whereby you started explaining to us that there is the honeymoon period, whereby it's about the person, the purpose, and the passion. Can you continue with us, with the periods, because the reason why I'm asking the question is that I want our audience to know everything when it comes to the subject, so that you get to know that venturing into such a space, these are some of the things that you are likely to come across, so that you armor yourself and be prepared for the journey. And the reason why I'm saying this is that, recently I came to the realization that when it comes to certain aspects of my life, I've been a very poor decision maker on that aspect, simply because when it comes to idea or vision or dream conception to its achievement, there is a gap in between, which is about the journey. But here's the case: when we conceive the idea, we don't look at the journey. We look at the end result, the excitement, and we just embark on the journey. As to the reason why, as to we being able to get to the destination or not. We don't factor, we don't bring it into our decision making. And sometimes we may follow the excitement and we'll take the step and we'll get to a space or a period whereby we realize that, this thing is not easy, exactly. And I can't continue. By then, the sunk cost has kicked in and you can't step back. Going forward is also a problem. So can you speak to us about some of these things so that our audience can know, the true picture of entrepreneurship and what to expect when you are trying to venture into the space?
Absolutely. I'm happy to do that. So basically, entrepreneurship is in 3 phases.
Yes.
Okay. The first one is the honeymoon phase.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the honeymoon phase is what you just mentioned, the person, the purpose, and the passion. Mm-hmm. Those are absolutely crucial, and I cannot emphasize how crucial those things are. Mm-hmm. People say it starts with why. Someone saying I agree. I can't venture that.
And I'm happy that you brought that subject up because I came across from your book that it's good to start with why, but first of all begin with who.
Yes.
Which is who you are. Get to know yourself.
Exactly.
And I was like, these are some of the things I came across the book, and I was like, wow, this is a great book. Please continue from there.
Yeah. So start with who means you cannot just start with a purpose. You need to just start with who you are as a person.
Yes.
Okay. And you need to know what makes you tick. Mm-hmm. What are my faults? What are my pitfalls? Who am I? What is it in me? Mm-hmm. What are the traumas I've been through? Mm-hmm. So having a good self-reflection. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's good to have a coach. Mm-hmm. In my case, I was able to afford a coach, thankfully. Yeah. But a lot of it comes from self-reflection. Mm-hmm. In your case, I cannot believe how many books you've read, how knowledgeable you become. Reading books, I use a lot of things I read. I journal a lot.
Yeah.
So this taking time to understand what makes you tick as a person is absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
Because when you begin to make some decisions, oh wow, I'm like this. That's why I'm making that decision.
Yeah.
I'm an emotional person. I'm a logical person. Yeah. I'm this kind of person.
Yeah.
So that informs how you act. Yeah. Okay. If you don't have a good knowledge of who you are as a person, and you jump straight into entrepreneurship and things happen, you don't know yourself well, and that creates problems. Yeah. So knowing yourself as a person is absolutely crucial. Okay, and this plays out in life. Okay, I talked about the honeymoon earlier when you get married.
Yes.
Why do you go on a honeymoon? You go on a honeymoon because you and your wife need to spend time to know each other in a nice setting. Okay, in a beautiful setting. So some friends of mine just came back from Mauritius. Where they went on a honeymoon. They came back all lovey-dovey, but they also discovered things about themselves that they didn't know.
Yeah.
They had a lot of time chatting, walking on the beach, strolling. That's the honeymoon period. It's a nice time, lovely time, nice. That's what I started with.
The beginning of everything.
Everything's nice. Everything is lovely. It's nice. But during those times are crucial because you get to know yourselves. Okay. And then obviously from that, you come then to your purpose. Yes. Why is it, what am I doing what I do? What is it I have to offer to the world? What do I want to do for the world?
Yes.
And then from there comes your passion.
Yes.
Those 3 things together, it forms what I call your honeymoon period. Okay. So let's take a marriage, for example. Person, you met somebody, you want to get married. That's your person. There's something in your head that you like, something you go in the honeymoon period, you have a nice time. Yeah. The purpose, why do you want to get married? Yeah. That's your purpose. And the passion, the love that you have for each other.
Yeah.
So that's the honeymoon period. And that applies in business. Same thing. Then that's the honeymoon period. From there you go to what I call the formative period.
Okay. Yeah.
The formative period is what I don't want to swear on your lovely podcast.
Yeah.
But it's when
you can be yourself, in as much as how do I put it? I love it, when we be ourselves, because at the end of the day, if you are very good with language, you get to know that however one is expressing themselves, if they are coming from an angle which is not the right angle, you get to know it. And if the angle that they are coming from is the right angle, you also get to know that. So I love it when people be themselves, just go with it for us.
I don't swear anyway, but they have a phrase in English when they say the shit hits the fan.
Yes.
Okay. So when things hit the fan, that's when everything scatters,
Yes.
So in entrepreneurship, you eventually get to a place where I call the formative period. That's when the pain hits, That's where you begin to struggle. That's when, and that hits me in maybe my 3rd or 4th year.
Yeah.
And that's where I came up with the 4 kinds of pain that I talk about in the book. Okay. So when the pain hits and your honeymoon period is not strong, you will fail. Okay. Yeah. So when the pain hits, you begin to remember, this is where I started. Just like in a marriage, when I made some bad decisions in my marriage, in my life, and we had to go through counseling, the first thing the counselor asked me, is, do you remember when you got married? That's the first question she asked us.
Really?
Yeah. And we went back and talked about it. We remembered when we were holding hands, Accra Usu, on the buying ice cream. Yeah. You remember? Yeah. All those things came back. But because of the struggle that I'd gone through and the pain that caused my wife, all that thing had been covered. So when the counselor unveiled it, our honeymoon period came back. Remember that, and that gave us the strength to go through the marriage. Same thing it is with the business. When you hit the struggles and you hit the pain, if you have a strong honeymoon period, that will take you through the pain. You remember, my purpose was to do this. That's why going after money is not a good thing, because if it's just the money and things happen to you, you give up. But if you think of the purpose, I wanted to start a business because I wanted to do this, or because I wanted to make a difference in this, or because I wanted to solve this problem, then it comes back in you. That thing comes back in you. The passion, I love doing this thing. I love helping people in this way. That is what will carry you to the formative period. So the formative period basically is what I call the partner, the pain, and the payoff. To make it short, I'll just focus on the pain. Okay. So eventually, you will hit 4 kinds of pain. Basically. Every entrepreneur will hit it. Don't care what you do, what you are, you will hit those 4 kinds of pain. I'm going to go through them quickly, so I don't take up too much of your time. But the first pain I talk about is what I call the red flag pain.
The red flag, yes.
Okay. Now, the red flag pain is what I call the pain of self-sabotage. It's the things that we do to ourselves when things get difficult that make things fail. Okay. So in my case, I'm hoping to say that my red flag pain, when I went to the duping, when things went bad and my sister died and I took to pornography. Okay. Because things were tough. And I thought, the pain was so much.
You wanted to find comfort somewhere.
So I found pornography somehow, some way, and that became my red flag. Okay. And I went through that for years. Okay. But the thing with red flag pain is if you don't deal with it, it will destroy you. It got to a point where I realized I was living a double life. My wife came, I used to come home smiling to my wife, used to go to work, do all everything. Everybody thought, this is Steven. Like you're saying to me now, I look all good, but I had a deep secret with the pornography. And that was bad, So that's red flag pain, and everybody has theirs. Okay? Yours may not be as bad as mine, but people have other things. You see it all the time, gambling.
Everybody has it bad, just that people are not courageous enough to come out like you are coming out.
So if you don't deal with it, and the issue comes down to stopping, and I call it red flag because when you are driving and you get to a red flag, you need to stop. Okay. If you keep driving, you will crash your car. Okay. And that is what happens to all these people that we read about, we hear about. That's what happens to them. They go with a red flag pain and they eventually crash the car and they destroy their business and destroy themselves. Okay. The second pain is what I call the amber flag pain.
The amber flag pain.
Amber flag pain is the pain of waiting. And you made that point beautifully a few minutes ago, Emmanuel, when you're talking about the end game. You see the beginning and you see the end, but it's about the journey. That journey is what you call the amber flag pain. You're not quite there yet, and it takes time. And many of us cannot wait. When things are taking long, you either cut the corner and go to the unethical means, and you go into red flag pain and you destroy yourself, or you become so tired with the waiting that you give up.
No, I'm not trying to preempt you, but talking of that, don't you think, the idea of, having to exercise patience, to trust the process and go through it, don't you think that sometimes it's because of how our society is now, that is why we tend to act this way? Because saying this, I'm not far away from it. I know myself and I know sometimes some of the things that, I wish I'm here because I can't wait to enjoy it. And it's not the best of habits.
It's not happening. 100%. And life flows. You have ebbs and flows, and some things you cannot rush them. It's like a pregnancy. No matter how quickly you want to have a baby, you still have to wait 9 months. And we do this in Ghana. I remember we used to have a corn. We all have little gardens in Ghana, and we plant the corn, and we want the corn to grow quickly. And sometimes you see the husk of the corn. You think, the corn is ready, but it's not. You peel the husk, and there's like little, it's like little things there. It's not ready. And you've tried to plug the corn too quickly, and it's not ready. So things like that. There's a waiting period, and on average, people take about 10 years, to succeed. And 10 years is a long time to wait. And you can either do 2 things. There's what I call the active waiting or the passive waiting. People that go to the passive waiting end up complaining and moaning and struggling and always crying, and they eventually give up. But there's the active waiting, which you all have to do. Active waiting is when you say, okay, this is how long it's going to take. I'm not going to wait along, stand doing like me. You still keep knocking doors. You still keep trying, but in the process, you better yourself. Okay. we all have what I call the personal capacity.
Yeah.
We all have a measure of pain that we can take.
Yeah.
During the amber flag period, you need to increase that capacity. I'll give an example of how this came across. Okay. So one day I was watching a program where there was refugees, okay, in a war displaced area of the world. So there was this NGO that had to give people food.
Yes.
The NGO will give you the food, it's a soup and some bread. Okay, but you had to bring your own container.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the first guy who had a container had a small container. They poured the soup in it, was full. His personal capacity was small.
Yeah.
The second guy came in with a big container, but there were holes at the bottom. He didn't know.
Oh.
So they were pouring the soup into it. The soup was coming down. And so what's happening? The soup was coming down. He had a big personal capacity, but there were leaks in his container.
Yeah.
The thing was coming down. The other person came in. He had a big container. So they kept filling it and he went away with a lot of soup.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that with life. We all have our personal capacity. Some of us, we don't build our personal capacity. When something hits you, you just fall down because you don't have that capacity. You know, so during the waiting time is when you have to build that capacity. You build yourself so that when the things happen, you are resilient. You know, you build that capacity by what you're doing, Emmanuel. You do a lot of reading.
Yeah.
You know, you meet a lot of people that are influential.
Yeah.
You meet a lot of people that will help you. You go through coaching.
Yeah.
You put yourself in situations where you're uncomfortable. All those things will build your personal capacity. So during the amber flag period, if you build your personal capacity and finally things get successful, you will do well. If you don't build your personal capacity and the success comes, it will overwhelm you.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So sometimes it is good that we don't get successful. And that's what happened to me. You know, when I started Blue Cloud, we got successful too soon. We couldn't handle the success.
Yeah.
It was too much for us.
Yeah.
You know, because we were not ready. We haven't gone through the amber flag period properly.
Yeah.
We're not ready. So when the success came, it overwhelmed us, and we eventually end up failing. You know, so that amber period is crucial.
Yeah.
And the third period is what third pain is what I call green flag pain. Okay.
Green flag. Yeah.
Green flag pain is when you are driving and you get to a green flag, you don't stop. You have to go. Okay.
Continue.
You have to continue. You don't stop. Green flag pain is the pain that we get, what I call the pain of voices.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's when people say things to you, and I'm sure you've had this, Emmanuel, a lot of times. You know, people say to you, Emmanuel, this podcast you are doing, you know, you don't have any money, you are broke, you are being trying to do a podcast.
What do you think you are?
Yeah, who do you think you are? You know, you've come from a different country and you're trying to compete with Stephen Bartlett and stuff. You know,
you are black and you claim you
exactly. You're claiming black. You're claiming black. You're coming from this country in Africa. And people said that to me when I started writing Peter Price. People came to me and said, "Look at you. You are a black guy coming from a small country in Ghana. You know, you live in a small city called Plymouth. People don't even know where it is. And you want to write a book." People said that to me. A lot of people said that to me. You know, a lot of people that were close to me, that were friends, they came to me and said, "You can't do this." You know, but it's a green flag because you keep going.
Yes.
People say these things to you. You keep going. You know, if you stop, obviously, it's like you are driving the traffic lights.
Yeah.
And you are driving and it gets green light and you suddenly stop. What's going to happen? People behind are going to crash you.
Yeah, they'll be honking on you.
And crash. If you're not even lucky, people come and crash you and your car will be destroyed. Because you are meant to keep going. It's green. Sometimes you have to pivot.
Yes.
You know, when you come to a traffic light, sometimes you have an arrow going straight, you have an arrow going right. You still have to go. But because of circumstances, you have to pivot. I had to pivot, you know, because my company failed initially. But I still kept going. I didn't go straight, I went right because I had to pivot. So green flag, you keep going. And people say, how do you know? You know because of your honeymoon period. Yeah. Your honeymoon period is strong. Things are happening to you. People are saying all these things. Sometimes it's you saying things to yourself. You know, this thing is struggling. I'm never going to succeed. Blah, 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 blah. But if you think of your honeymoon period, how far you've come, then you keep going. Okay. The last thing is the white flag pain.
Yeah, the white flag pain.
Okay. Now, I had this thing when I went to Kenya, when I was struggling because of Blue Cloud and we were doing some businesses. So the host took us to this restaurant in Kenya, in Nairobi. It's a different. I've not been to a restaurant before.
Yeah.
You pay 3,000 shillings. You go in there and all you have is meats. Okay. I love meats, so I was very happy.
Yeah.
So where you go, you have people walk around the restaurant with meats, long skewers.
Wow.
With meats. They don't walk around with all kinds of meats. And they give you a little flag, a white flag that you put by your table. So they keep giving you meat, you know, and now I love my meat. I was eating the meat.
As much as you want.
As much as you want. But when you get to a point where you've had enough, you put a white flag on your plates. That means that you surrender.
Okay.
It's enough. I can't cope anymore.
Yeah.
Life is like that as well. You have what you call white flag pain. White flag pain means things that happen to you that are unfair. Okay. In my case, it's unfair that I have epilepsy.
Yeah.
Okay. I have fits all the time. Okay. I can't drive, and there are times when I've had a fit in the bath and I've passed out, you know. Actually, this book came across because of white flag pain, you know. One day I was upstairs and I had a massive epileptic fit.
Yeah.
I crashed down the stairs. If I show you my back, there's lots of scars all over my body.
Wow.
And there was blood everywhere. And my wife was crying. My kids were crying. But I had an epiphany. I had a moment where I saw myself writing the book.
Yeah.
You know. So I got up. I said, right, I have to write this book. Sat down. And the book just began to flow.
Yeah.
You know, because I was white flag pain.
It was the right time.
The right time.
Yeah.
But then I was forced to write the book because I didn't believe. I was listening because of the green flag pain I was facing.
Yeah.
I didn't have the belief that I could actually write a book.
Yeah.
But when the white flag pain hit me, I realized that actually I have to do this. I could be dead. You know, and we all have white flag pain. You know, it could be the fact that you are black. It could be the fact that you're a woman. It could be the fact that you have a particular illness. Your family is poor. You know, you have to surrender to it. You know, there's no point saying, oh, I'm black, I'm coming from a country, so racism and complain and not do anything about it. You surrender to the fact that you are black.
Yeah.
You surrender to the fact that you're a woman.
Yeah.
You surrender to the fact that you got epilepsy.
Yeah.
You surrender to the fact that you got diabetes. Whatever it is that is unfair to you, that's happened to you, you have to surrender to it.
Yeah.
If you don't surrender to that pain, you will never move forward.
Yeah.
Some people complain and moan, and you have what you call learned helplessness.
Yes.
Which you've heard.
People go through that.
Yes, learned helplessness means, yes, you have something happen to you.
Yeah.
But you begin to weaponize it. You become to think, oh yes, I've got epilepsy. Oh yes, I'm black, and nobody likes me. Oh yes, I'm poor and coming from a bad family. Yes, it's all true. But you surrender to that thing and say, despite all this thing, despite the fact that I'm coming from a village in Africa, despite the fact that I'm epilepsy, despite the fact that my parents, mama and my dad are poor, despite the fact that I have been wounded by trauma, my wife left me or my husband left me, despite everything I'm going through, I surrender to it. It's happened to me. I can't change it, but I am going to move forward.
Yeah.
But the white flag pain comes from accepting the fact that this happened to you. You surrender to it, but it doesn't stop you from moving forward.
Yeah.
So you have red, amber, green, and white. And
white.
every entrepreneur,
Yeah.
I don't care where you come from, who you are, you will face this pain.
Yeah.
You have to react it to the right way
Yeah.
to be able to move forward.
Yeah. Now, talking about facing all these pains, you know, as you've explained that it's all happened when you build the capacity for it. I came across a statement from reading the book, you know, that when you brought up this subject, I'm like, maybe it's because of that, you know, he made such a statement. So I want to read it quickly to you and let you also espouse on it for us, because from what you've explained, I've come to realize that the capacity building, you know, happens when you've gone through the process of some of these things, and because by that you've gotten a strong foundation. And when, you know, anything is happening to you, that is not, how do I put it? That is not very good for your business. You are able to withstand and keep going. You said we cannot have strong foundations if we haven't gone through the mill, the process, the highs and the lows, the plan and the pain. The dark side of entrepreneurship is not highlighted enough, if at all. And I believe it's the reason why most of us fall on the wayside. So it brings me to the idea that, you know, to be able to, how do I put it, build the capacity to withstand some of the obstacles that, you know, you have to face as far as your journey is concerned. You know, everything has to happen through, you know, pain and, you know, some of these things, you know, as you've explained, you know. Yeah,
100%. And thank you. A lot of podcasts I be on, I can tell the person hasn't read the book, but you've shown how good a host you are. You've done your research. You've read the book.
I'm trying.
And very good. I'm
trying. That is what I can say.
I'm very impressed. You know, many people, they call you for an interview or a podcast, you can tell them read the book, but you know, you go along with the flow. But so far, I want to appreciate and congratulate you, because I can see that you've done your research and thank you for that. So you have to build the resilience. If you don't build, and that's why so many people fail. You know, so many people fail either because the honeymoon period is not strong. Or they've hit the pain.
We don't go through the process.
They go through the process. They want to jump quickly, and you see this so many times. There's a guy who founded WeWork. You know, people have Elizabeth Holmes. She had a good upbringing. So people that have these things and they don't go through the mill, they are shaky. They're not strong. They're not resilient. So when the pain hits them, they just fall. You know, it's like the camel principle I always talk about. The hump that they have. They don't have a big enough hump. So when they're going through the deserts, the hump can also sustain them and they fall by the wayside. That's why we talk about the camels. Camels are good because they have a hump. They have a good honeymoon period. When they get to the oasis, they drink as much water as they can. They eat as much grass as they can. So when the winter comes, when they're going to the heats, the deserts, they use that hump.
Yeah.
You know, and so
To survive.
So we have to have the common principle. If
Yeah.
you don't have the common principle,
Yeah.
you will fail.
Well, this is good stuff. Like,
you,
trust
thank
me,
you.
you know,
Okay.
guys, you know, you don't have to, how do I put it? You don't have to, let me tell you, whatever that you've heard so far, it's attest to the fact that it's good stuff. And if you should grab a copy of the book for yourself, it's going to be very beneficial to you. So I would entreat you to do that. And we'll announce where you can get access to the books and grab a copy for yourself, you know, when we're about to wrap up the interview. But it doesn't change the fact that I need to let you know that you need to grab a copy, because this is good stuff, you know.
Thank
I'm
you.
hearing stuff that, you know, and I'm saying this because before this day, like I've said earlier, until I was reading your book, I wouldn't come across some of the things that I've come across. And, you know, even away from business, when you relate the lessons, you know, that you shared in the book to real life, you get to know that it makes sense. It makes sense. And I came across so many stuff that, you know, I related them to my life, and I was like, wow, this is good stuff. Like, and I don't know if you remember,
I'm
you
very
remember me
grateful.
texting you that,
Yeah.
your book is so
Yeah.
incredible. Your book is so incredible.
Thank
Like,
you.
it needs to be at the top,
I'm
you
very
know.
grateful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, you've gone through all these processes. You know, you've built businesses. You know, you've gone through failures. The ones that are still standing, they are standing. You've come up with a bestseller, which you are following with another bestseller, another book which is going to be a bestseller, obviously, which is Chasing Permanence, which I love the title so much, and I love the concept, you know, so far, even though I haven't had a gist of the whole, you know, thing in the book, but, you know, with the little that I've read, you know, concerning the subject, I've been telling myself this is going to be a big deal when it comes out, you know. So I want to appreciate you so far for the work that you've done, and also not giving up on yourself. And the reason I'm saying this is that, you know, not giving up on yourself is not giving up on the world, because whatever that you are carrying, the gift, you know, the experiences, the knowledge, the wisdom, if you don't keep it, you know, if you don't give up on yourself and keep it, and you put it out there into the world for us, we benefit from it, and together the world, you know, like, it makes the world a better place, you know. So I want to really appreciate you from that, you know. Now, like I've already said, you know, your second book is in the pipeline. It's coming out, you know. Someone might say, yes, you've gone through all these processes, all these businesses. The ones that have failed, they have failed, like I've said earlier. And the ones that are still standing, they are still standing. You've come out with a book. You are coaching and mentoring people. Someone may ask, is there anything on the horizon as well? Like, other stuff that, you know, you have in mind that you want to do, but you haven't done them yet, and you know, like, they want to know, you know, because, I mean, like I've said, we're all about sourcing success stories for our audiences, and looking at what you've done so far is so incredible. So we want to know more about you.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest pride for me in Pay the Price is not the fact that it's become a bestseller or any of that. The biggest pride that I have in the book is that it has touched so many lives.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you talk about my writing. Because of all the stuff I've been through, because I was raised up in humble.
Man, your writing is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Like,
I've tried to make it accessible, you know,
Yes.
and I've had drug addicts
Yeah.
who have had GCSEs, who have no A levels.
Yeah.
One came to me one day that he was crying.
Yeah.
And I found it incredible.
Yeah.
And that's a testament to the fact that the life I've been through, I've not been exposed to so much poshness, you know. I don't have the vocabulary that people have, you know, these big guys, you know.
Yeah.
So I've been blessed with the talent to be able to write simply.
Yeah.
And that for me is and I plan to carry that forward. You know, the second book is about the high streets. You know, there's a lot of businesses closing on the high streets. So I'm hoping that will carry me forward, the simplicity of my life, you know, and that will carry me forward. So yeah, for me, I want to keep doing more and more of what I'm doing, trying to get as many people as possible. And I mean, for me, the thing for me is resilience. Like, you know, getting as many people as possible to know that, yes, you're facing difficulties. Yes, you're facing struggles. Yes, you're facing obstacles, but you have it within you if you apply the right principles to overcome what you're going through and move on. So far as you don't self-sabotage yourself,
Yeah.
you know, and you go to the right channel. So for me, that's all about, and everything I do in life is going to revolve around that, whether it's being speaking or mentoring or writing. Or whatever it is that I want to do. I'm
building businesses.
Exactly.
Yes.
Hoping that is what will be the central theme of my life, you know, and I believe that's my calling, you know, to be able to let people see the dark side, but know that there's lights at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
You know, that's there.
You have no idea how your words are touching me.
Oh,
and the reason I'm saying this is that, I mean, First of all, I'm grateful that you come from Ghana, so you know how it is from where I'm coming from. So if I'm saying something, you could relate to it. But trust me, there are not so many of us out here trying to make an impact on the world. And so seeing someone coming from where I am that I could use as a blueprint or as an example, you know, to believe that it's possible for me and to get me going whenever I'm going through anything. It feels so awesome, and I want to appreciate you, like, truly from the bottom of my heart. Like, you're doing an amazing job, and we really, like, myself, I'm speaking on behalf of the world, we really appreciate you. Like, trust me, like, what you are doing is so amazing, and we really appreciate you.
And it goes for me as well. I'm not just saying you to use for Emmanuel, but coming here, I mean, meeting you, seeing the podcast what you're doing is absolutely incredible. And I have a vision, a kind of thing that for so long, Africans, we have been on the receiving end.
Yes.
People come and tell us what to do. People
Which I hate.
Yes. It makes me, fills me joy that a fellow African, fellow Ghanaian can come into the UK, go through all the struggle, because I mean, believe me, your story is incredible. Go through all that you've gone through and begin to put up such a wonderful professional podcast to the world. You know, and I think the time is coming where I'm beginning to see a lot of this coming up. You know, a friend of mine, well, it's not a friend of mine called Danakoka, he's doing podcasts as well. There's a guy who wrote a book called Financial Joy, who is Nigerian, who made the Sunday bestseller lists. I've got a friend called Obi James, who's half Nigerian, who's wrote a book called Let's Go Leadership. So there are many people coming from Africa, and even in the Caribbean who are now impacting the West, because we have something to offer. You know, we have a big thing to offer. Many people that because I use a lot of stories from Ghana. You know about Casablanca. You probably know about the gin. You know that story. Nobody knows it. You know, I talk about Minister Chuba.
That man has done an
amazing
job.
And the stuff that he's gone through, something that the West can learn from. You know, so I'm very, very, very happy. You know, and this has been one of the most professional podcasts I've been on. You know, that so people from Africa are now beginning to come to Europe, come to the US, and begin to influence the world. Bring our knowledge, bring our strength, bring our resilience, bring our wisdom, and let the West know that yes, actually, we also have something to offer. When I would pay the price, 15 publishers turned me down. You know, all the publishers turned me down.
The rejection, it's crazy.
Green flag pain. You know, because people said to me, "Oh, Stephen," you know, and you could sense the undertones of it. What they were actually saying was that, Stephen, you're a black guy from Africa. You have no audience. Actually, nobody wants to read your stuff. They gave me various reasons, you know, but underlying those reasons was that. And I want to make a shout out to Pippa Raven, who believed in me and said, Stephen, you will carry this thing. And now it is what it is, because somebody somewhere took a chance on me and published the book. You know, so it is a struggle from where we're coming from, but I believe that people like you, young guys who are coming up, are raising the bar, and I want to say I appreciate you as well. Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, guys, you've heard it all. Pay the price. Creating ethical entrepreneurial success through passion, pain, and purpose. It's a good book. Don't let me repeat myself. I've gone through it, and I'm testifying to the fact that it's a good book. So grab a copy for yourself, because I know how beneficial it's going to be for you when you do that. All online and offline platforms, wherever books are sold, when you go there, you can get a copy for yourself and bless yourself and the world with it. Do that. Now, Stephen, before we wrap up every interview, you know, there is this last question that we ask, you know, every guest that, you know, comes on the show. And before I do that, I first of all want to put your social media handles, you know, where people can reach you, find you, if they want to be in touch for help, coaching, whatever, business, whatever, you know. Can you do that for us, like your social media handles?
Absolutely. So it's quite easy. My name is Stephen Adjei, which is with a V, not the PH, because my mother is very insistent. If you spell my name PH, my mother will kill you. Believe me, she's scary. So it's Stephen. If you type in Stephen Adjei on Google, it will come up. I have a website, stephenadjei.com, where you can contact me directly. I'm on Facebook, as you well know, and Emmanuel. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Threads. So if you type in Stephen Adjei or Stephen Adjei, it will come up. And then, I'm welcome. You can. I also have a newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks, which speaks about things about resilience.
And you are
struggle.
contributing to some of the biggest magazines in the world. Sometimes I see your feature in some of the biggest magazines, and I'm like, wow, he's doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you. So yeah.
All right, guys. I want to reiterate it again because when I was talking about the book earlier, I got it wrong with something. Pay the price: creating ethical entrepreneurial success through passion, pain, and purpose. Like I've said, grab a copy for yourself, and it's going to be a blessing to you. Now, my final question, Stephen: what is success to you?
I'll join this question.
Let me explain to you the reason why we ask this question to every guest when we get them on the show. Is that we live in a society whereby we are being told all the time that success is all about the material stuff, having these cars, these mansions, and all the material stuff. And the more I journey through this life, and the more I discover things, or I come to the realization of things, the more I discover that no, that is not the true definition of success. Success is all about living for the reason why we are here in the world. Because mind you, we aren't here for the sake of being here. There is a reason behind our existence, So, like I've said, the more I go through some of these experiences, the more I realize that no, the society's definition is not the actual definition. 100%, so 100%. I want to, hear from a thought leader like yourself what success, means to you.
For me, success for me is simple. I just want to get as many people as I can who are in their businesses or starting their businesses or in life to believe that despite everything that they've done, all the failures that they've gone through, that it is possible for them. And I've been privileged where in my job as a pharmacist, I've worked with drug addicts. I've worked with people that have been in prison. I've also worked with people that are multimillionaires as well. Yeah. And we all bear the same scars. It amazes me how I was speaking to a drug addict the other day, just a few days, and the pain that he was describing was exactly the same pain as a multimillionaire. I mean, tonight I'm meeting some really big multimillionaires tonight. Yeah. And the pain is the same. Yeah. And I want to be able to say I'm successful if at the end of my life I can look back and say I was able to drag many, many, many people out of the pits of failure, self-failure, into into the mountains and hills of success. Oh. Anytime I do that for anyone, it brings tears to my eyes and it brings a joy to my soul that I can actually help this person from this point where they were about to fail, were struggling. I met people that have come to me crying, like I said to you, drug addicts have come to me crying because they've read the book, and to a place where they are successful, however they define success, So for me, there's that. Yeah, that's what success means to me. Obviously, the Range Rover is helps. Yeah. Yep.
I want one.
But for me, what drives me every day when I wake up in the morning, that's what I call in the book a pathfinder legacy. Yeah. A pathfinder legacy is somebody who has been successful in their business, but also has been successful in shining the lights, who has been a pathfinder, who finds paths for people to follow. And so that you can shine a light, like what you're doing for your podcast. Yeah. You're shining a light on people. And I believe that's a legacy that I want to leave on my deathbed. Yeah. That Stephen was a pathfinder.
Yeah. Wow, what a definition. Like I explained to you earlier, about what I believe, the true definition of success is all about. You have, stretched my mind to a different aspect of the whole equation. Before this day, like I've said, I've come to the realization that it's not about the material possession and it's all about impact. But what you've explained, the definition that you've given, is also amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for that.
Thank you.
All right, guys. You've heard from the man himself. He shared with us everything that we need to know as far as his journey is concerned. And most importantly, he's written a lot about it. Like I've said earlier in the book, that when you grab a copy of it to read, you come across a lot as well. So please grab a copy. The book's title is Pay the Price: Creating Ethical Entrepreneurial Success Through Passion, Pain, and Purpose. All bookstores, online or offline, and wherever books are sold, you can grab a copy for yourself and bless yourself with it. And as we all the time say when we are about wrapping up the conversation, it's all about trying whatever means possible to be your successful self. And that is what we would encourage you on today's episode as well. And like I've said, try and be your successful self. Steve, thanks so much for gracing our platform.
Thank you,
we really do appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, and you're a wonderful host. Thank you.
Thanks so much.